Welcome to Audacity Works, a podcast inspired by and dedicated to the working artist, the creative entrepreneur, and generally, doing the damn thing. This exists on the premise that the world belongs to those who have the audacity to believe that their lives have value. This is for you. Welcome to Audacity Works. I am your host, Rachel Strickland, and this is episode number 178, and it's about working with your friends. But first, I have some updates for you. Number one, extremely important. I don't think that I have talked about my Breville milk frother in a while, and I just have to say, it is one of my favorite instruments in any kitchen that I've ever been in. I don't know what I would do without it. I don't know what I did before I had it. And right now, I'm having a hot cocoa. I think it's called cacao when it's expensive. Is that right? I don't fucking know the difference. Cacao or whatever. And I made it with lavender because I'm a genius. And also Oatly because I'm sane. And oh my God, it's so good. And I'm recording this at, it's late. It's 5 p.m. On Monday, the 23rd of March. So this will be the last active thing that I do today. And I needed a bit of a boost, but having the late in the day coffee is not so great for my physical anxiety. Apparently I have physical anxiety, not really so much mental anxiety, but my body sure gets nervous, and late day caffeine doesn't help. So a little boost from fancy cocoa. I don't know. Someone tell me the difference. It does give you a bit of a zing, but not, it's a really slow burn, and it's not a crash and burn zing. Or maybe it's just nice to drink something hot and chocolate in the late afternoon. That could be the whole thing. It might not have any properties of energizing whatsoever. I don't know that antioxidants are necessarily energizing compounds. But I digress. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I will put a link in the show notes to the Breville milk frother that I'm talking about. Don't be trying to cut corners. If you want a milk frother, just go full hanky-panky, buy the expensive one. It is worth every penny. I think, well, when I bought it was like $150 for something I use every single day of my life. Sometimes multiple times a day. And it brings me so much joy. A pittance, my friends. And it's the only one that can give you 16 ounces. No, I'm not a spokesperson for Breville. I don't even have an affiliate link. It's just made me that happy, so I'm sharing it with you. Another update I wanted to give you is that I joined a dance company. I just randomly saw the shout out for the audition, which was going to be in a couple of days. This was several weeks ago. And I was like, I can make that audition. And it was a woman who I had met a couple of times before and really had like a lovely energy. Her name's Jessie Natusch. I learned how to say her last name today in rehearsal. And it's a fledgling company. I think there's 5 of us, including her, the choreographer. And we had our first official rehearsal today and signed the contract, became part of the company. The company exists now. And now every morning on Mondays, I'm going to drive to Somerville to go and dance. And I don't even have to come up with all of it because it's not my company. It's Jessie's company. And the joys of being told what to do. I was pretty tired today. I had a hard time sleeping this weekend. And Jessie was like, well, that good news. The role I have for you today is sleeping with style downstage right. I'm like, that's awesome. Best part for me. And it just made me remember how much fun it is to be a part of something that you yourself are not in charge of every single aspect. I know that it is very important to me to make my own work, and most of my work just happens to be solo if it's not a photo collaboration. But the joys of helping someone else achieve a vision and being able to help mold that vision. I forgot. So that's my news. Jessie Natusch Dance Works is the name of the company. I'll put a link to an Instagram, which we're not really using yet because we're brand baby new. But I'll put a link in the show notes anyway, because you should follow us. And now let's move on to the meat of the episode. This is not by request. It's just something that I thought of while I was having a walk. And it's because it can end, working with your friends can end in surprising ways. And let me preface this by saying I absolutely think you should do it. You should work with the friends that you want to work with. Like, ask them if they want to collaborate with you. And then I'm going to explain why I think this is worthy of a spot on the weekly Podlycast. So there have been a number of occasions where I've been asked by a friend to make something. Like, I want to make something with you. And I said yes. And sometimes these have been absolutely brilliant collaborations. And sometimes they have utterly failed. And the difference was solely based on whether or not I actually wanted to do it. And these are people I love, which is the whole point. Like, if someone that you were just kind of like meh about was like, I want to collaborate with you, let's make something, you would think about it and say no, not or yes, I don't know. No problem. But if it's a really close friend that you truly admire and love, it's going to be a little harder to say no. And I didn't. Like, I had a friend who wanted to create a dance duet with me. It was many years ago. Just once. Not you, Mel. And I didn't really want to do that. But I didn't want to say no to this lovely person. So I did, and it was kind of limp. And there was another friend that was like, I want to create a piece with you. Let's make something. And I said yes, even though I didn't really want to. And it was not only limp, it was the only time I've been booed on stage. It's not that the work was bad. We fucked with the countdown on New Year's Eve. That's where we went wrong. You know what? That one deserves its own podcast. Let me tell you, I am adding that one to the list because it is a story worth telling. And in both cases, the work wasn't bad. It's just that I was doing it as a favor, and that sucks. And it wasn't their fault. It was my fault. I was at fault because I did not yet have the emotional fortitude or the self-actualization to see around the fact that I was so touched and flattered that someone would want to make something with me, even if I wasn't particularly interested. You know, it feels really good to be asked to be a part of something. Even if it's something you don't really want to be a part of, it still feels good. Yes, it does. And if you have any sort of scarcity complex, which most of us do because we are living in a late-stage capitalistic hellscape, well, and you think, well, if I say no to this, then there will be no more opportunities, because that makes sense. And I think I started thinking about this because my friend and student Martha had written about going to that residency and bringing an outside eye. The outside eye is not in the same discipline as Martha. Doesn't do circus, but does do theater. And they have a long-standing friendship. And, you know, she's worried. She's like, is this a good thing I'm doing? Never really sure. Because just because you're friends with someone doesn't mean you work well together. Ask me how I know. I mean, how many duos have you seen? Like, I have seen two kinds of romantic duos mostly in my life. One, it's a couple that's romantically involved and they decide to create an act together, and it's terrible. Not across the board, okay, but I just have not seen good work come out of romantic pairings. That probably means I haven't seen much of them, because I have no doubt that it would be incredible to be a part of. I personally just haven't seen it. What I have seen are two people who start working together, and then the chemistry builds to a deafening roar. And you all know what I'm talking about. What ensues? That depends entirely on the people. And let's take it out of performance context entirely. You can have a friend who you adore and who adores you, and who you are very close with and have been for a long time. And then you decide to take a trip and you travel together, and you're like, oh no, this is not the same. I did not think it was going to be like this. It's just a very different environment. And just because your relationship works beautifully in one environment doesn't mean it's going to be like that across the board. And that was a rude awakening for me when I was in my early 20s. I thought surely a great friendship would be great in any context. Well, no. And if you think that I sound like I'm warning you off of it, that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, I don't think you should take this as a warning at all. I think you should take this as a comfy night-night blanket when things go south, when you try a new environment with an old friend and it doesn't feel as good as you thought it would. Harken back to this episode and remember that, like, that's okay. It doesn't mean that your friendship is bad. It doesn't mean your relationship is bad at all. It just means you plopped it down in a brand new environment and maybe it didn't work so well. Because that's the thing. I definitely think you should take the chance. I think you should take the chance and try to make work with your friends. But the original reason that I wanted to make this episode was for the reasons that the times that I knew I should have said no, or I should have at least thought about it before I said yes. But I was just too moved and too flattered to think, oh my God, someone wants to work with me. And so I just went into it blindly without even checking in with myself. And the person that I learned how to do this from, I learned by watching her, Anastasia Sauvage. Shout out to Anastasia. We were duo partners for a couple of years in San Francisco. I loved working with this woman. We were so dumb together and so good and so witchy and powerful. Fantastic. And I had quite a lot of years on top of her, experience-wise and time-wise. I'm 8 or 9 years older than her, maybe 10. Guess I don't know is the answer to that question. And I had a whole bunch of experience, and she was more at the emerging stages of her career, extremely talented. And I would come to her with an idea. Not even the act itself that we had made, but like this festival or this opportunity or this show we could put up for. Be like, I was thinking we should apply to this. And I was expecting her to be like, yeah, that's great. Awesome. One, just because I thought it was awesome. And two, because I had the lion's share of lived experience in this industry. But instead, every time she always said the same thing. Possibly. And I loved that. Like, it did surprise me, but in a good way. Like, I loved that she was, I was watching someone in real time with like way less experience not jump at the chance to do something because they felt so flattered, or because someone they admired was asking them, not putting words in your mouth, Anastasia, but just like taking the time to pause and be like, that might be a good fit. I don't know. I don't know if it's a good fit. I don't know anything else about it, but possibly. So that's a little nugget for you to like stick in your back pocket and keep for the future. If someone's making you an offer, even if it's someone you love and admire, you can always just say, possibly, that could be a good fit. Tell me more. I need more information before I jump into bed with you, so to speak. So there's your nugget of wisdom for how to give yourself some time, because if you feel that flattery, that like, oh my God, yay, oh, this is exciting, it's just really hard to give yourself the time to even think about it. And if I had given myself that time, like in the initial example I used where my friend wanted to create a dance duo, I really wasn't interested in making ground-based work at all. And like, if I had taken the time to find that out about myself and told her, she would have 100% understood. She'd be like, oh, well then this isn't worth it. Let's, maybe we'll do like an aerial thing instead. But I didn't give her that opportunity, and I didn't give myself that opportunity either. So to sum up, no, this is not a warning not to work with your friends. Even if it goes horribly wrong, I still think you should do it. I think it's worth the experiment to ask your friends to collaborate. Ask your friends to go on that trip with you. It might not work the way you think it will, and it might. It might be awesome. And if it's not awesome, then as my dear Uncle Bradley would say, it appears you have an opportunity to grow, both as an individual and as a friendship or relationship, and speak to each other. As a friend that the one that I traveled with in my mid-20s, that I was like, oh, this is not fun. We went through so much together on that trip, and we've talked about it like many times. We're like, yep, shouldn't have done that. But we were both glad that we did. Like, you can survive it. And what's more, your friendship can also survive it if it's a good and healthful and mutually respectful combination. And sometimes these results can be really surprising. Like, one of my longest standing collaborators is Max Cooper, a photographer and musician. I've had him on the podcast before. We could not be more different, but we work really well together. So just because it doesn't seem like it's going to make sense, or maybe you think it'll make sense and it doesn't, it is such a fucking lottery. But the point of this whole episode is try it anyway. It's worth the experiment. Even if you fail, it's worth the experiment, like so many things. All right, my friends, I am looking at the time, and I have been on my soapbox about making work with friends and when to say no and when to give yourself pause before you say yes. One other thing I forgot to mention earlier is that Practical Empathy, my in-person workshop in Charleston, we've condensed it instead of a series, and just we're going to have one workshop in April. April, she looks at the calendar, 15th, 6:30 to 8 o'clock p.m. at Evolve Academy of Conscious Learning. I'll put a link to that in the show notes. It's one and done, my good people. So if you are walking into rooms and being like, gee, it feels loud in here today, and you would like a little bit more autonomy and control and access over your own emotional state, I would love to share what I know with you. Yes, that was the only thing I had forgotten to tell you. Okay. If you have requests for future episodes, I would dearly love to hear them. You can reach me always on Instagram at Rachel Strickland Creative or on Patreon at Rachel Strickland Creative. This podcast is powered by Patreon, and indeed, so am I. So extra special shout out To my patrons, thank you so much for supporting me. Thank you for your trust and for standing with me in the fallow times as well as the fertile times. I could not be this without you. Thank you. So until next time, my friends, go make a big mess with your friends. Have a good time. You'll be fine. And don't go back to sleep.